गला पूरा टाइट हो जाएगा मेरा। हेलो, ऑन हो गया, ऑन हो गया। So what we had studied in the last class? Securities, type of companies, and primary market, secondary market. नहीं, नहीं पढ़ा था। ओके। टू टाइप ऑफ सिक्योरिटीज, डेट, इक्विटी, क्रेडिटर, डेटर, ये सब तो पढ़ा था ना। हाँ, for the next 6-7 days we will have this class dot from 2:30 to 4:30, ठीक है। एग्जैक्ट 2:30 में मैं यहाँ आऊँगा, ठीक है। 2:30 to 4:30 because our crash course is also going on and right now I am taking economy there 5 to 9, तो बीच में हाफ एन आवर का मुझे ब्रेक चाहिए, ठीक है। तो आप डॉट 2:30 पे यहाँ आ जाया करो, ठीक है। So your doubt is when we are doing international trade, फिर से क्या डाउट था बताओ।
So when we are doing international trade in dollar,
हाँ हाँ,
and suppose inflation occurs in that particular country from which we are exporting our goods.
if we are trading in dollars, inflation occurs means dollar is losing value, and if dollar is losing value and we are importing something, then we will have to pay more dollars. आप देखो ऐसे, suppose we are importing oil $1 per barrel, ठीक है। Now $1 is equal to ₹70. आप लोग exchange rate तो पढ़ी ली हो, fixed and adjustable and then managed float, समझ गए हो ना। हाँ, if this is the exchange rate and we are importing oil, ठीक है, we are importing oil. Now oil prices is denoted in dollars. Oil prices is denoted in dollars. ध्यान से सुनना, टेक्निकल क्वेश्चन है। Oil prices is denoted in dollar. If we say that oil prices is being expressed in terms of dollar and we say that ki oil price is increasing, we say that oil price is increasing, that means now we are getting oil in 1.2 barrel, $1.2. So if we say ki oil price is increasing or there is inflation in oil, ठीक है, the international commodities are prices are increasing, that means you will have to pay $1.2. To pay $1.12, you will have to purchase more dollars, ठीक है। And if there is inflation in, suppose we are importing oil from Middle East, if there is inflation in US, US currency will lose value. If there is inflation in US, the value of dollar will be less, dollar will lose its value, and now you may be able to pay, you may have to pay more dollars to buy that same. एक सप्ताह का ब्रेक हुआ है ना, तो उस फ्लो में आने में थोड़ा 5-10 मिनट लगेगा, तो पहले हम लोग आ जाते हैं उसमें। ध्यान से सुनो आप। Now in India we accept this legal tender rupee, right? when we say कि there is inflation in India, when we say that there is inflation in India, that means now we will have to pay more rupees to purchase that same commodity. ठीक है? Now we will have to pay more rupees to purchase the same commodity. When we say that there is inflation in India, that means the Indian legal tender lost value. Indian legal tender is losing value. That is called basically inflation. So what happens in case of inflation? We say that the commodities prices have increased, but basically what has happened, the legal tender has lost its value. Purchasing power of legal tender has decreased. समझ रहे हो? Purchasing power of that currency note has decreased, so you will have to pay more. And the same concept is applicable for any currency. Yes. And if when investors are coming in India, they are selling $1, purchasing rupees 70. They are willing to ये कैसा आवाज? ये स्पीकर से आ रही है? कोहली जी वो भी देखते रहते हैं बाद में, मे भी वो भी आएंगे शायद. देखते हैं 2 मिनट, अदरवाइज आई विल कॉल इट. कहाँ पे थे? समटाइम्स आई गेट टू लॉस्ट इन दैट कॉन्सेप्ट ना, कि जब बाहर निकलते हैं तो हाँ. सो आई वॉज सेइंग दैट देखो, जब आप लेट आते हो तो एक तो आपने गलती की लेट आके, और फिर दूसरी गलती करते हो पूछने की. तो जब लेट आते हो तो पूछा नहीं करो, है ना? एक तो लेट आते हो तो पहली गलती, और दूसरा पूछते हो तो उससे भी डिस्टर्बेंस होता है. तो जब लेट आ रहा है तो चुपचाप आके बैठ जाओ. तो कल से आपको 2:30 पे डॉट आना है. सो व्हाट आई वाज सेइंग इज कि इफ देयर इज इन्फ्लेशन इन इंडिया, तो इन्फ्लेशन का कॉन्सेप्ट समझ गया आप, लीगल टेंडर परचेजिंग पावर. If this is the rate and investors are coming here, they are selling dollar and getting rupees 70. Now when they are getting rupees 70, they know that what goods and services they will be able to purchase in rupees 70. The rupees 70 का purpose क्या है? They know that कि what they will be able to purchase. Now that is why they are converting in $1 is equal to rupees 70. Suppose now rupees 7. Why they are purchasing rupees 70? To purchase certain goods and services. ठीक है? Now if suppose in India rupee is losing value or there is inflation, so now they will not be able to purchase the same goods in 70 rupees. ठीक है? Now they will not be able to purchase. वो आवाज आ रही है, देख लो इसके. So now they will not be able to purchase the same goods in rupees 70. So now they will demand more rupees in $1, and that's why rupee depreciates. So whenever there is inflation in the domestic economy, that currency will depreciate. और होना भी चाहिए. If rupee is losing value, that means now you will have to pay more rupees to purchase the same item. Now you will have to pay more rupees to purchase dollar. So rupee is losing value means rupee is losing value in terms of everything, in terms of products also, in terms of any purchase of any other currency also. क्यों? I said कि inflation means rupee is losing value, and if rupee is losing value, now you will have to pay more rupees to get the same dollar. So when rupee loses value, when there is inflation in the domestic economy, that currency depreciates. That currency will depreciate. ठीक है? तो प्राइमरी मार्केट, सेकेंडरी मार्केट हम नहीं पढ़े थे. ओके. इसमें से कितने लोग कल क्रैश कोर्स में भी थे? तो आप लोग रिवाइज कर रहे हो? हाँ, या समझ में नहीं आया था? बताओ। हाँ, रिवाइज। वो भी यूपीएससी का ही क्रैश कोर्स है ना, थोड़ा सा फास्ट है उसमें, और क्या हुआ, कंटेंट तो वही है, और उसमें क्वेश्चंस प्रैक्टिस में थोड़ा ज्यादा कर रहे हैं पैरेलली। आप लोग का अच्छा टेस्ट होगा मे बी टुमारो और डे आफ्टर टुमारो, जो लास्ट टॉपिक का आप पढ़े हो, ठीक है। You know the two characteristics of securities, ठीक है, they must be tradable and they should give some return in future. इसलिए बोलते हैं तुरंत नहीं लिखा करो। Now this was a company. On that day we saw that the company can issue shares or bonds both. The company can issue equity security also, and the company can issue debt securities also. When it issues debt securities, it gets money at fixed interest rate. When the company issues debt securities, it gets money at fixed interest rate. When the company issues equity, it gets money at profit or loss. So it has to return profit or loss, and in the debt case, it has to return fixed interest rate. Now, financial markets, you write a statement. Financial markets, a market for buying and selling, a market for buying and selling debt and equity securities. Financial markets means a market for buying and selling debt and equity securities. ठीक है? So there are physical markets where you trade commodities, and there are financial markets where you trade securities. ठीक है? Where you trade securities. Now you write capital market. Capital market. A financial market. Capital market is a financial market for buying and selling, medium to long term, medium to long term means more than 1 year. ठीक है? one आप समझो, less than 1 year we generally say short term, 1 to 3 we call it medium term, more than 3 years we call it long term. So capital market is a financial market to buy and sell debt and equity securities for medium to long term. Then you write primary market. Capital market में you have written it is a financial market to buy and, क्या लिखा आपने, to buy and sell medium to long term debt and equity securities. A financial market to buy and sell medium to long term debt and equity securities. ठीक है? तो जो बॉन्ड्स थे उसकी मैच्योरिटीज में ज़्यादा होगी। नाउ प्राइमरी मार्केट, कोई कंफ्यूजन है? कोई कंफ्यूजन है तो बताओ। प्राइमरी मार्केट, it is a capital market. It is a capital market where the securities are, it is a capital market where the securities are issued for the first time. Where the securities are issued for the first time. ठीक है, it is a capital market where the securities are issued for the first time, full stop. The transaction is between the issuer of security. The transaction is between the issuer of security. समझा रहे हैं अभी आपको हम. The transaction is between the issuer of security and the investor. Now this is a company, this company wants money. So this company may issue debt or equity. It can issue a debt paper, it can issue a equity paper. So you are a person, company issued shares and you gave money to the company, or company issued bonds and you gave money to the company. Now this transaction, these securities are being issued for the first time. Now this company may issue security to someone else. Bonds or shares got issued. Now, so this market is called primary market because this is a transaction between the issuer of security and the investor. Now once you purchase bonds or shares, you start buying and selling among your, आवाज आ रही कुछ, you start buying and selling among yourself. आवाज है ना? अरे मैं एक्टर थोड़ी कुछ भी बोलने लगेंगे हम जहाँ टॉपिक स्टार्ट किए वहां से हम शुरू करेंगे. So primary market, you understood? हाँ? Primary market, the transaction is, आवाज आ रही है? Hello? हाँ. So primary market, the transaction is between the issuer of security and the investor. Once they purchase shares or bonds, they start buying and selling among themselves. So if they are buying and selling among themselves, this is secondary market. And this is this transaction. See, every transaction happens in a market. This transaction, so this will be called primary market and this will be called secondary market. So primary market का example है IPO, initial public offering. When the companies get listed, we will come to that. Now you write secondary market. In secondary market, the transaction is among the investors. In secondary market, the transaction is among the investors without the involvement of the issuer of security. Without the involvement of the issuer of security. ठीक है? समझ गए? नहीं? So primary market and secondary market are classification of capital markets. So when a company wants to issue shares, टाइप्स ऑफ कंपनी आप समझ गए हो ना? हाँ. So SR Private Limited, right now there are two owners. If you want to purchase shares, you can always contact ma'am and she can issue shares to you. But if there are a lot of people who want to buy shares, then the company will have to get registered. ठीक है. Once it gets registered, then it can issue shares to anyone, whoever wants to purchase. So all the people who wants to purchase, they can go and purchase shares from the capital market. So capital market में the company can raise funds from the capital market by issuing either debt security or equity security. दोनों security issues करके they can raise funds, and both the securities are issued in the primary market also, and then they are traded in the secondary market also. क्लियर है? वी विल इंश्योर दैट कि आगे इकोनॉमी के क्लास में ज्यादा ब्रेक ना हो, है ना? Now how many of you understand this money market? कोई नहीं समझता है. So you understand bonds? प्राइस किस पे डिपेंड करता है? केवल यही बताएंगे. आज मौन व्रत है क्या भाई? bonds price depends on किसका इंटरेस्ट? बैंक का इंटरेस्ट राइट. जैसे जनगण मन होता था ना, तो जब सब बोलते थे तो याद आता था, अकेले बोल दो तो मैं ही भूल जाता था. ठीक है, स्कूल में ऐसा प्रॉब्लम लोगों ने फेस किया. सो मैं इसलिए बार बार बता रहा हूं, बिकॉज इफ यू विल नॉट रिमेंबर एंड नो दिस, आप ये समझ ही नहीं पाओगे कभी. Bond price depends on market interest rate. When the market interest rate goes up, bond price goes down, and yield goes up. Yield means return goes up. चलो, I will tell you. Did I tell you that when a company is declared bankrupt? सोच लो, recorded a video. I can always go and cross check, है ना? मैंने बताया तो जरूर होगा. In a company, there are two classes of people who can put money. One class of people put money at fixed interest rate, and the class of people put money at profit or loss. If the company is not able to pay to the creditors, if the company is not able to pay to the creditors, then the company should be declared bankrupt. और ये most probably मैंने बताया ही होगा. ठीक है, अच्छा. Now he asked a very valid question. I said कि bond prices depends on market interest rate. ये clear है? हाँ? When the market interest rate goes up, bond price goes down. He is asking, does bond price depend on any other thing? हाँ. What is that factor? So if the company's profit will increase, if a bond has been issued at 8% interest rate, if the company's profit will increase, the bond price will right. As such, company's profit will depend नहीं करता है. But you purchase a 100 rupees bond. ध्यान सुना, you purchase a 100 rupees bond, interest rate you are getting 10%. ठीक है. If the market interest rate moves above 10%, the bond price will go below 100. But suppose interest rate is almost 10% only, and the company is declared bankrupt. Company is declared bankrupt. Then bond holders are the which class of investors? Creditors. Bond holders are creditors to the company. Na? So if the company will declare bankrupt, the assets will be sold, and first the creditors will get money to the extent whatever is the value of the assets. So if the value of the assets has declined, the creditors won't be able to get the entire sum. So you are holding 100 rupees bond, right now price is 100, interest rate is 10%. If the market interest rate moves to 12-13%, the bond price goes from 100 to 90-80. So market interest rate पे it depends bonds price. But suppose if the company is declared bankrupt, then will someone purchase your bond at 100? No, because they are not sure that if the company will be sold, how much assets will be recovered. So in case of bankruptcy, if there is a situation that the company may go bankrupt, the bond price may fall, but it's a once in a lifetime situation. Generally, bond price depends on market interest rate.
So who fixed the price of the security to the time of IPO?
Who?
Fix the price of a security at the time of IPO.
एक बार शेयर खरीदो, डूबोगे सब समझ में आ जाएगा, ठीक है. नो वन फिक्सेज इट, यू बिड फॉर इट. और इसको समझने के लिए आपको शेयर मार्केट में थोड़ा इंटरेस्ट दिखाना होगा, आप क्लास के बाहर पूछ लेना, ठीक है, कैसे होती है शेयर ट्रेडिंग. बेसिकली यू बिड फॉर इट, यू बिड फॉर इट. 1 करोड़ की कंपनी है, मैम इज इशूइंग 1 लाख शेयर्स. 1 करोड़ का एसेट्स है, 1 करोड़ का लैंड प्रॉपर्टी एसेट्स है, एंड 1 लाख शेयर्स इज बीइंग इशूड, यू विल पे 100 रुपीज. बट इफ समवन थिंक कि नहीं, द वैल्यू ऑफ द एसेट इज नॉट 1 crore, it is only 99 lakhs, you may not be willing to pay 100 rupees per share, you may be just willing to pay 99. You think the value of the asset is 1 crore, she thinks की value of the asset is 99 lakhs, हो सकता है. So bidding होता है, on that basis the price is discovered.
The role of investment banking.
अब ये क्लास के बाहर पूछ लेना, मैं बता दूंगा, ठीक है. बिकॉज ट्रेडिंग है, आपको सेबी और फाइनेंशियल मार्केट्स नहीं पढ़ना है. इकोनॉमिक्स एंड फाइनेंस आर 2 इंटायरली डिफरेंट सब्जेक्ट्स. फाइनेंस आपका सिलेबस नहीं है, ठीक है. इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट पढ़ना है. सर्टेन वेरी बेसिक नॉलेज ऑफ फाइनेंस इज रिक्वायर्ड इन योर सिलेबस. तो हम लोग उतना ही डिस्कस कर रहे हैं. ज़्यादा आपको समझना है तो आप क्लास के बाहर पूछ लेना, ठीक है. समझ गए. तो सेबी एज सच और मार्केट वो आपके सिलेबस में नहीं, बट उसकी थोड़ी अंडरस्टैंडिंग होनी चाहिए. जितनी अंडरस्टैंडिंग की जरूरत है, दैट वी आर डिस्कसिंग इट हियर, ठीक. नाउ मनी मार्केट. पहले आप एक स्टेटमेंट लिखो. इन मनी मार्केट वी ट्रेड, in money market highly liquid, in money market highly liquid we trade, or in money market we trade highly liquid, comma short term के आगे in bracket you write less than 1 year. In money market we trade highly liquid, short term, comma debt instruments. Debt instruments. In money market we trade highly liquid, short term debt instruments. ठीक है. So 3 characteristics. Whatever instruments are traded in money market, there are 3 characteristics. First is debt. मतलब shares are not traded in money market. ठीक है. Shares are not traded in money market. Only debt paper is traded. Debt means bonds basically. ठीक है. Debt means bonds. So bond paper is traded and the maturity of the bond is less than 1 year. In the example, we took the maturity of bond as 5 years. And the third characteristic is highly liquid. Liquid instrument means you can easily buy and sell. Bonds are more liquid or FD paper? Bonds are more liquid. Bonds you can sell in a moment. FD पेपर को आप जाओगे तो द बैंक में से कि नहीं 1 महीना बाद आना, अभी तो मैच्योरिटी टाइम, ठीक है. सो बॉन्ड पेपर्स आर मोर लिक्विड, यू कैन इजिली सेल एंड कन्वर्ट इनटू कैश. लैंड इज नॉट वेरी लिक्विड. लैंड इज नॉट वेरी लिक्विड. Then you again write the participants in the money market are, the participants in the money market are banks. The participants in the money market are banks, comma, financial institutions, comma, RBI, banks, financial institutions, RBI and individuals. ठीक है. Now concentrate here. So money market में we trade debt instruments less than 1 year maturity. Who are the participants? Banks, financial institutions, RBI. Axis Bank, ICICI. In the retail vegetable market, what we do is we want vegetables and they want to sell vegetables. So there is a market we have, government has created. है ना? Now this is a money market. Someone wanted, एकदम concentrate करके सुना, otherwise थोड़ी देर बाद समझ में आना बंद हो जाएगा. Some institutions wanted money and some institutions had money they wanted to invest, they wanted to give. We brought both the class of people or institutions in one platform. So this is a platform, this is a market. Axis Bank wants money and ICICI Bank wants to lend money, invest money. So suppose Axis Bank wanted 100 crore. So ICICI Bank gave rupees 100 crore cash. ICICI Bank gave cash, मतलब कहते हैं बैंक से दे दिया. What Axis Bank will give? A paper, a proof, a receipt. What it will be written here? Axis Bank is giving Axis Bank's logo, then rupees 100 crore at suppose 8%, the market rate is 8%. For how many days? Less than 1 year, anything you can take, 7 days. So Axis Bank wanted 100 rupees, 100 crore cash for 7 days. So ICICI Bank gave cash and the Axis Bank issued a debt paper. 8%, why? Because market interest rate was 8%. Now after 7 days, ICICI Bank, आज क्या date है? 11th. So this transaction happened at 11th Feb. Now ICICI Bank on 18th Feb will reproduce this paper to Axis Bank and Axis Bank will give this cash to ICICI Bank. Return कर देगा after 7 days plus interest. But suppose 11th Feb के बाद after 2 days on 13th Feb, ICICI Bank required money. On 13th Feb, ICICI Bank had some requirement of money. Can ICICI Bank ask Axis Bank to repay? No. Axis Bank will repay only after 7 days. So ICICI Bank want money after 2 days, means on 13th. So what ICICI Bank can do is, नहीं, SBI also here मैं इधर draw कर रहा हूँ इसी market में, ठीक है? Now SBI has money on 13th and ICICI Bank wanted money. Now ICICI Bank, who was holding this paper, it sold this paper to SBI. ठीक है? It sold this paper to SBI. So this paper was issued by Axis Bank. Now ICICI Bank was holding. For ICICI Bank, this paper was asset or liability? Asset है ना भाई? For Axis it is liability ना? हाँ. So ICICI Bank was holding this paper. It has asset. It had this asset. Now it sold this paper to SBI. So on 13th Feb, suppose interest rate is 9%. On 13th Feb, interest rate is 9%. So ICICI Bank will give this paper and SBI will give more than 100 crore, less than 100 crore. SBI will give less than 100 crore. Why? Because SBI is getting a debt paper. The interest rate is 8% on that debt paper, but the market interest rate is high. So he is getting a debt paper where interest rate is less. ठीक है? That is why he will be paying less than 100 rupees crore. सब लोग समझ गए? So ICICI Bank will give this paper and SBI may give less than 100 crore. So this paper is being traded. Whichever institution will be holding this paper on 18th Feb, that institution will reproduce this paper to Axis Bank, and Axis Bank will give 100 plus interest. So in this money market, these kind of papers are traded. This is basically debt paper. So money market we have created for whom? There are institutions basically. Institutions. अच्छा आपने क्या लिखा हुआ? इंडिविजुअल्स भी लिखा था ना उसमें? वो कैंसिल करो, वो गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटीज में था, इंडिविजुअल्स नहीं है, वो दूसरे मार्केट में होते हैं. जस्ट आरबीआई एंड जो आपने इंडिविजुअल्स लिखा था तो एंड के बाद आप लिख दो क्रेडिट वर्दी कंपनीज. क्रेडिट वर्दी कंपनीज, दैट मीन्स सम बिग कॉर्पोरेट्स जिनकी क्रेडिट रेटिंग अच्छी है, दे आर ऑल्सो अलाउड हियर. सो आरबीआई, बैंक्स, फाइनेंशियल इंस्टीट्यूशंस एंड क्रेडिट वर्दी कंपनीज. एक गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटीज मार्केट है, मैं बताऊंगा, उसमें इंडिविजुअल्स अलाउड होते हैं. सो मनी मार्केट में डेट पेपर इज बीइंग ट्रेडेड. समझ गए? इसका पर्पज भी समझ गए. बिकॉज अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम institutions want money, a lot of times institutions have money, they want to lend, so we created a platform for trading purpose. Clear? Who regulates this market? RBI. लिख लेना, RBI regulates money market. SEBI regulates capital market. ये फाइनेंशियल मार्केट था ना, capital market is regulated by SEBI and money market is regulated by RBI. सेवन % इंटरेस्ट रेट या 8% एनुअली है ना? क्या डिस्कस करो भाई आप लोग?
तो सर ये 100 करोड़ से ज्यादा वैल्यू सेल कर रही है, प्रॉफिट में वो खरीदा है सर.
और किसी कोई डाउट? ये शर्माते क्यों रहते हो जब मिटा देते हैं? हाँ हाँ, राइट राइट. इट लॉस्ट मनी, राइट, इट लॉस्ट मनी. हाँ, सो it lost money because interest rate increased.
So it will compensate that lost money.
No, that loss is never compensated. आपने बिजनेस लगाया, ट्रेडिंग किया, डूब गए तो डूब गए. ICC lost that money तो गया ना पैसा. Now there is nothing that ICC bank can do.
How it will be gone, or
It is no, it is gone na. You purchased land when you had money. Now you want money, you want to sell the land, and the land price has decreased. हाँ, right? That is gone. तो ICICI बैंक would have gained. तो सिंपल ट्रेडिंग का फंडा है. देखो फॉर्मली डेट मार्केट कुछ नहीं है, डेट इंस्ट्रूमेंट होता है. सिक्योरिटी मार्केट इज मनी मार्केट, कैपिटल मार्केट, प्राइमरी मार्केट, सेकेंडरी मार्केट. इन मनी मार्केट डेट इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स आर ट्रेडेड. नो, डोंट कॉल इट डेट मार्केट एज सच. सिक्योरिटीज इक्विटीज सिक्योरिटीज लेस देन 1 ईयर के लिए नहीं इशू होते हैं. ठीक है? नहीं नहीं नहीं, ऐसा नहीं होता. उस पर टाइम का नहीं होता है. ऐसा तो ऑन गोइंग कंसर्न होता है, वैसा नहीं हो. डेट इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स के लिए बेसिकली 1 ईयर वाला. राइट. not regulated by any institution. RBI regulates the money market means if today SR Private Limited wants to trade in money market, they will have to take permission of RBI. देखो आप रेगुलेशन से कंफ्यूज नहीं होना. When I say कि something is being regulated by some institution, तो regulation regarding what, that will always come to your mind. For example, this Azadpur Mandi is regulated by government. It's a government mandi. ठीक है, यहाँ पे government का regulations work करता है. But regulations regarding what? State government is not regulating the prices of commodities. That is auction basis. So when I say that state government is regulating this Azadpur Mandi, there are certain things which the state government regulate and there are certain things which are decided by the market. And what is regulated by the state government or marketing committees is the mandi charges per transaction, kitna charge lagta hai. So when we say ki RBI regulates bank, so does RBI regulates bank interest rate? No. But RBI regulates that how much money they have to keep with RBI. So when someone is saying that this market, this institution is regulated by someone, तो regulations regarding what, वो चीज आपको समझना है. ठीक है, रेगुलेट करना इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि every activity is being decided by that regulatory body. ठीक है. Government securities have you read? Government securities नहीं पढ़े हो. And that private word तो हमने बता ही दिया होगा when we have discussed types of companies for private. So when company wanted money, company issued securities. भाई कोई भी security कब issue करता है? When they want money, they issue securities. So in the same fashion, government also issues securities. Now you just read that there are two types of securities, debt and equity. So government issues what kind of securities? Both. Government of India issues debt or equity or both securities. Why only debt? I am asking government of India. There is a major difference between government of India and PSUs. There is a major difference between government of India and PSUs. आप confuse आते हैं, ये आप हमेशा separate रखना. Now government of India issues bonds. You give money to the government of India and government of India pays interest. But government of India never issues shares. You cannot own government of India. So government issues always debt securities. Government securities are basically of three types. Treasury bills, dated securities, when government of India, आप लोग जब स्टेटमेंट में बोलते हैं तो उसको ध्यान सुना करो, लिख तो आप रहे ही हो एंड हमने भी लिखा है. When government of India wants money, it issues securities. When government of India wants money for less than 1 year, it issues treasury bills. When government of India wants money for more than 1 year, it issues dated securities. When state governments want money, state government issues their own bonds, own debt paper, that is called ये SDLs, generally less than 10 year होता है, less than 10 year. State government, government of India, government of, ये पिछले बार क्वेश्चन भी आया हुआ है, ठीक है, और उसके पहले से हम पढ़ा रहे हैं और बुक में भी मेंशन है. बहुत सिंपल क्वेश्चन, बहुत लोग गलत की. Dated securities, less than 30 year, greater than 1 year maturity. हाँ हाँ
RBI they have mentioned na, RBI in the statement, it's issued by the RBI.
वो एग्जैक्ट स्टेटमेंट है तो आप पूछ सकते हो, देख सकते हो अभी ब्याज ट्रेजरी बिल्स, ठीक है। आप आगे पढ़ोगे कि ऑल दीज आर इशूड बाय आरबीआई, ठीक है, इन द नेम ऑफ गवर्नमेंट, बिकॉज गवर्नमेंट बाय इशूइंग ट्रेजरी बिल्स गवर्नमेंट इज रेजिंग द मनी। स्टेट डेवलपमेंट लोन्स एसडीएल्स, सो मनी सप्लाई एंड आउटपुट का कॉन्सेप्ट यू हैव अंडरस्टूड, ठीक है। मनी सप्लाई चेजेस द, आप लोग सभी लोग प्रीवियस क्लास अटेंड किए थे या कोई ऐसा भी है जो कि प्रीवियस क्लास नहीं अटेंड किया था? मेरा आप नहीं अटेंड किया था, आप भी नहीं। यू हैव अ डाउट? हाँ, टेल मी। राइट, government companies can always issue shares also. This company can issue shares and this ownership will reduce. So this company can issue shares, this company can issue bonds, but government of India can always issue bonds only. ठीक है, गवर्नमेंट companies can issue bonds and shares, but government of India can always issue, or state government can always issue bonds only. And whenever a government is creating a particular PSU, at that time that PSU is privately held by government, and then when government can list that PSU on Bombay Stock Exchange, and which is also called, पढ़ नहीं रहे आप लोग what I am said, then it will be called publicly listed company. So when government lists the company, its company on Bombay Stock Exchange, it releases some shares to the public, government reduces its ownership, you purchase the shares, and it is also called disinvestment. It is also called disinvestment. You can invest money in a company in how many ways? पढ़े हो नहीं सब? You can put money in a company, you can invest money in two ways. You can put money as a creditor or as a shareholder. When you put money as a shareholder, you get profit, you get equity security. When you are putting money, investing money as at fixed interest rate, you get a debt paper. So you can do investment in two ways. ठीक है. So when government of India can also, or government companies in 1950s, 60s, government of India from its budgetary resources invested its money in 50s, 60s, government from its budgetary resources, it invested money and created PSUs. It invested money as an owner and it got 100% of the securities, equity securities. ठीक है? So government invested money, created PSUs, and now government is reducing its ownership by disinvestment by listing the company on the Bombay Stock Exchange. If government is right now owning 100% a company, privately held, government is owning 100%. If government want to reduce its ownership, what is the best way? एक एक आदमी से पूछेगी नहीं ना कि भाई खरीदोगे. The best way is list on the Bombay Stock Exchange. So once it gets converted from privately held to publicly listed, automatically some shares are released, and we call it disinvestment. We say that the company has now been listed on Bombay Stock Exchange. So the best way of doing disinvestment is you list the company, release some shares to the public.
So when government companies issues shares, we can't consider it as government of India when issuing.
Of course, we don't consider this thing. That company is getting listed, that company is releasing shares. We will say that in that company now government of India's ownership is reduced. Government ने assets नहीं list करते, companies get listed. ठीक है? What is strategic disinvestment? Word तो सुने होगे न्यूज़पेपर में, बहुत यूज हो रहा है. What do you understand by strategic disinvestment?
Maintain 51% target.
When government does strategic disinvestment, it reduces its ownership to less than 49%. To less than 49%. देखो आप समझो, disinvestment, strategic disinvestment, privatization, don't get confused, there are slight differences. Disinvestment means when government is reducing its ownership. It can be just 5% reduction, it can be just 10%. So government listed its company, government listed one of its company and sold 10% shares to you. So we can call it disinvestment, right? Government is reducing its investment, reducing its ownership. It is disinvestment. Did government privatize the PSU? No. Privatization matlab government reduced its ownership to less than 49%. And I said कि strategic disinvestment may be government reducing ownership to less than 49%. But there is a slight difference. So privatization is a general term. Privatization is a general term. If the ownership of government is less than 49%, you will say that the government company has been privatized. Strategic disinvestment means that, जैसे Air India, earlier government was owning 100% and now also government owns most of the shares. Air India, if government is selling its ownership to more than 51%, you can call it that now the company has been privatized, right? To whom it is selling doesn't matter. Any private individuals, any private company, if it is selling, you can call that government has privatized Air India if government reduces its ownership to less than 49%. But if government is selling the entire stake of 51%, 60%, 70% in Air India to any single entity, any strategic partner, then we call it strategic disinvestment. For example, earlier government was owning 100%, now government reduced its ownership to 40%, and a lot of individuals, lot of companies purchase the shares. Then we will call the company has been privatized. But if government reduced its ownership to 40% and sold the 60% stake to any single entity who was already there in the airline sector, so that entity, single entity is called strategic partner in that, and government says that we have done strategic disinvestment. So Air India ka we are not planning general privatization, we are planning strategic disinvestment. कोई एक single partner हम लोग सोच रहे थे कि he should collaborate, but it failed basically. Elections के बाद government will try again. Once a company is strategically disinvested, it's a private company. It's a private company. Basically इसमें क्या होता है कि we sell it to one partner, one entity. ठीक है? Who is already there in that business entity. So now he starts running that business. Private. Private.
Can the government form any corporation or development authority and can raise money, can trade in the stock market? Like, for example, let us say government created Delhi Development Authority, and can they trade in the stock market?
Can they trade in the stock market? Man, that means you are saying can they list in the stock market? Yes. It depends that what Delhi Development Authority. Now it depends on its purpose. If you want to list and trade, then you should register a proper company under Companies Act. There are various regulatory bodies. तो उनका functions पे decide होना. Now DDA doesn't trade in stock market. For that you need to do valuation, you need to issue shares. So जिस purpose के लिए आप create कर रहे हो, it depends on that. You'll have to convert into corporation, normal company, then it can be listed and traded. So we discussed that money supply chasing the output. And this concept is clear. If output is same, money supply increases, inflation increases. Output same, money supply reduces, prices will decrease. Money supply is same, output decreased, prices will increase. Now when I am saying money supply, are these financial securities, shares and bonds part of money supply or not? What do you think? I said money supply in the economy, there is some money supply, there is some output. Every year output is increasing and we are increasing the money supply, because if we will not increase, we will face problem in transaction, prices will start decreasing, and it has a major negative impact on the economy that we will discuss later on. When prices decreases, why? When the money supply decreases, why deflation is bad for economic growth, that we will discuss later. So if output is increasing, more money should be pumped into the economy to facilitate transactions. So when I am saying कि money supply chasing the output, तो इस money supply में what all things are counted? Do you understand this? So इस money supply में क्या क्या count होता है? Money supply chasing the output में से the cash and the money in your bank, these two things are part of money supply. हम पूछ नहीं रहे, हम बता रहे हैं. अच्छा ऑनेस्टली बताओ, मेरे मतलब जो स्टेटमेंट में मिला था इससे कंफ्यूजन हुआ क्या कि मैं पूछ रहा हूं या बता रहा हूं? हाँ, नेक्स्ट टॉपिक मनी सप्लाई. क्या हुआ? गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटी तो जस्ट इंस्ट्रूमेंट, आपको पता होना चाहिए क्या होता है. राइट. तो गवर्नमेंट ऑल्सो इशूज एट सर्टेन इंटरेस्ट रेट. गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटीज कोई टॉपिक नहीं है, आप समझो सिक्योरिटीज टॉपिक है. ठीक है, सिक्योरिटीज टॉपिक है. I just told you that government also issues debt securities. ठीक है. हाँ, so she is asking, she is saying कि government securities are quite safe and secure, है ना? Why? एक शांत रहो, शांत रहो. Why? Because the example that we discussed, government never goes bankrupt. Government will print, government has authority to print, so it will never default. Because if the company goes bankrupt, the bond price will fall. So in this case, government has all the printing machine, so it will not go bankrupt as such. Now what was your doubt? Yielding. So if government has issued securities at 8%, and if the market interest rate starts moving above 8%, will the government bond prices decrease? Yes. Of course, yes, it will decrease. If government has issued at 8% and market interest has moved to 10, 11, 12%, no one will buy government bonds. The prices will decrease. Because I said कि जो bankruptcy वाला case है, it is once in a lifetime एक particular exceptional situation है. But otherwise, SR Private Limited bonds or anyone's company's bonds, their price depends on market interest rate. Generally, their price doesn't depend on the credibility of the company. आपको तो earning करना है. If Reliance is issuing bonds at 10%, SR Private Limited is issuing bonds at 12%, you will purchase which bonds? SR Private Limited. Credibility factor वो तो केवल bankruptcy के केस में आएगा ना. So चाहे government or any institution, if the bond price, if the market interest rate moves up, bond price goes down. ऐसा सही से बता दो आप गवर्नमेंट के बॉन्ड 5% पे परचेज करोगे या रिलायंस के बॉन्ड 10%? रिलायंस के बॉन्ड 10%. क्योंकि आपको पता रिलायंस इतना बैंकरप्ट का केस नहीं, ठीक। सो किसी के लिए बॉन्ड प्राइस डिपेंड्स ऑन मार्केट इंटरेस्ट रेट, ठीक है। बैंक्रप्सी का एक क्रिटिकल वो सिचुएशन एक्सट्रीम स्टेप है, यू रिमूव दैट स्टेप, सो एवरीथिंग विल डिपेंड ऑन मार्केट इंटरेस्ट रेट फॉर बॉन्ड्स। हाँ, so money supply chasing the output. So in this money supply, I said that कि the money in your pocket cash and the money in your bank, these two are called money supply. Securities are not part of money supply because from securities, from bonds or shares, you don't purchase goods, you sell bonds, you get money, and that money then chases the goods. Securities से you cannot, आपके पास रिलायंस के शेयर्स हैं, कैन यू टेक एडमिशन हियर? You will sell Reliance share, you will get money either in cash or in bank, and then you will swipe your card and then you can take admission. So the cash part of the legal tender, the account part of the legal tender, even if it is an account, it is a legal tender, na? Indian currency note, currency rupee denomination में है ना, that bank money. So the legal tender, whether in cash or in bank account, that chases the output. In that terms, all this inflation concept has been defined. So when I am saying कि money supply chasing the output, तो इस money supply में bond shares securities नहीं आते, ठीक है? Only the rupee note, either in cash or in banks, that is chasing the output. Clear? You write a statement, money supply का definition, the total stock of money, और ये कॉन्सेप्ट आप स्टेप बाय स्टेप डाइजेस्ट करते चलो, ठीक है? बिकॉज सपोज आई मेक एन ऑब्जेक्टिव क्वेश्चन, ऐसे हम बोलिए कि इफ द शेयर्स प्राइस आर इंक्रीजिंग, ठीक है, will the goods and services price get impacted? No, because शेयर के प्राइस पे नहीं, मनी सप्लाई पे डिपेंड करता दिस इन्फ्लेशन. नाउ यू राइट मनी सप्लाई. अच्छा, बाय द वे, मनी सप्लाई इज स्टॉक और फ्लो? मनी इन योर पॉकेट, मनी इन द इकोनॉमी, स्टॉक. अरे स्टॉक है आपके पॉकेट में, पैसा कितना, दैट इज स्टॉक. इस क्लासरूम में कितना पैसा है, दैट इज stock. Economy में कितना पैसा, that is stock. Money in the economy is stock. Money pumped in the economy is flow. How much money pumped in 1 year and how much money is present in economy at 335? ठीक, हाँ, see, how much money present in the economy on 11th Feb at 335? This is correct question. Stock concept है, ठीक है? You write a statement, the total stock of money, the total stock of money in circulation among the public, the total stock of money in circulation among the public at a particular point of time, at a particular point of time is called money supply. ठीक है? अच्छा, if the stock of money is constant, if the stock of money in the economy is constant and the demand for money is increasing, ठीक? If the stock of money, the total supply in the money is constant and the demand for money is increasing, what will happen? हाँ? और कोई? देखो, whenever a question is asked in economy ना, So you'll have to look for the options, and then you'll have to see that what can be directly derived. You cannot start linking vaguely कि आप इससे ऐसे link होगा. You'll have to check the options, and then you need to check that